You know what? We'd moved to Switzerland before I decided to get off the road and stop, or take a break, I guess. I just really needed to take a break. Switzerland was just a place that I could go and be very quiet. It's a very quiet place. It's very beautiful. And I, became a mom. And it was just a really great place to start that part of my life.
For decades, rumors have followed Shania Twain like a shadow, but at 60, she's finally breaking her silence. What she confirmed stunned fans who thought they already knew her story. Behind the glamour, the comebacks, and the chart-topping hits lies a truth long whispered but never acknowledged. This is the moment Shania Twain finally confirmed the rumors the world couldn't stop talking about. Shania Twain came into a life marked by upheaval and hardship from the very start. Her parents' divorce when she was just 2 years old uprooted her from any sense of early familial stability. Moving with her mother and sisters to Timmins, Ontario, she faced a childhood steeped in financial struggle. Her mother's remarriage to Jerry Twain did little to alleviate the family's economic hardships. They often lived without basic necessities like consistent food, heating, or electricity. For Shania, the challenges of poverty were constant and inescapable, instilling in her a sense of responsibility far beyond her years. By the time she was a young child, Shania was already contributing to the household income, performing in local bars and clubs. These early performances required her to navigate adult spaces, late-night environments thick with smoke, alcohol, and often the weariness and frustrations of grown-ups, long before she had the maturity to fully comprehend them. Shania Twain's childhood in Timmins, Ontario, was marked not only by poverty, but by a deeply traumatic home life that left lasting emotional scars. Her stepfather, Jerry Twain, was often volatile and abusive, creating a household permeated by fear and tension. In interviews and her memoir, Shania has recounted harrowing experiences of both physical and psychological abuse, including moments when she witnessed Jerry violently attacking her mother. The young Shania sometimes found herself in the terrifying position of having to intervene to protect her family, a responsibility no child should ever bear. Adding to this environment of danger and instability, Shania has bravely disclosed that she endured sexual abuse during her youth. These violations profoundly affected her sense of safety and self-worth, leaving her with lasting insecurities about her body and gender. She internalized a need to become physically strong and resilient, driven by a desire to protect herself and to avoid further unwanted attention. The combination of domestic violence and sexual trauma instilled in her both vulnerability and an intense determination to survive. On November 1, 1987, Shania Twain's world was irrevocably shattered when her mother, Sharon, and stepfather, Jerry, tragically died in a car crash in Ontario. At just 22 years old, Twain faced a level of loss and responsibility that would have overwhelmed someone twice her age. With both parental figures gone, she suddenly became the head of the household, forced to put aside her own dreams and ambitions to care for her 3 younger siblings, 2 half-brothers and a sister, who now depended entirely on her for emotional, financial, and practical support. Shania assumed the role of legal guardian, navigating the complexities of adult responsibilities with little preparation. Her days and nights became a delicate balance between keeping the family afloat and trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy for her siblings, who were also grappling with the trauma of losing both parents. To provide for them, she performed wherever she could, including local bars and resorts, such as the Deerhurst Resort in Huntsville, Ontario, using her musical talent as a lifeline both financially and emotionally. Every performance carried the weight of necessity, not just artistic ambition. In the wake of her parents' tragic deaths, Shania Twain was thrust into a dual existence, caretaker and aspiring artist. From the late 1980s into the early 1990s, she performed tirelessly to provide for her 3 younger siblings, all while holding on to her dream of becoming a professional singer. Her early career was far from glamorous. She spent long nights in small clubs, bars, and local venues, often performing for tips or minimal wages. Equipment was scarce, stages were cramped, and audiences were unpredictable, sometimes unreceptive, sometimes hostile. Each night demanded emotional stamina as she poured her voice into music while simultaneously carrying the invisible weight of familial responsibility. These grueling conditions exposed Shania to social environments far beyond her years, forcing her to navigate complex adult interactions while managing the constant stress of making ends meet. Every dollar earned was vital for her family's survival, and the pressure to succeed was compounded by the knowledge that her siblings depended on her stability and perseverance. This blend of financial burden, professional uncertainty, and emotional responsibility placed an extraordinary strain on her young adulthood. Yet, amid the exhaustion and hardship, these early struggles forged the resilience that would become a defining trait in Twain's later career. They honed her discipline, sharpened her focus, and deepened her emotional expressiveness, qualities that would eventually translate into the raw vulnerability and authenticity of her music. Still, the emotional toll was heavy. Isolation, self-doubt, and relentless stress marked these formative years, making her journey to stardom not just a story of talent, but one of perseverance against daunting odds. By 1993, Shania Twain's perseverance finally began to pay off. After years of performing in small venues to support her siblings, she caught the attention of a record label, marking the start of her professional music career. That same year, she married Robert "Mutt" Lang, a prominent producer whose vision and guidance would prove instrumental in shaping her sound. Their collaboration produced a string of hits that would define 1990s country and pop music, catapulting Twain to international stardom. Albums like The Woman in Me and Come On Over sold millions, and her songs dominated charts worldwide, earning her acclaim, awards, and a devoted fan base. Yet behind the glittering success, Twain faced significant personal challenges. The pressure of constant touring, media scrutiny, and live performances weighed heavily on her, triggering intense stage fright and anxiety. Despite the public perception of a confident, charismatic performer, she often battled inner turmoil, describing feelings of vulnerability and self-doubt that persisted even at the height of her fame. The relentless pace of recording, promotional obligations, and performances took a toll on her mental and emotional well-being, leaving psychological scars that she would carry for years. Additionally, balancing her personal life with professional demands added another layer of complexity. While her marriage to Lang was creatively fruitful, it also came with intense scrutiny and the pressure to maintain a public image that matched her commercial success. Twain's personal resilience was constantly tested as she navigated the dual worlds of celebrity and artistry. In 2003, Shania Twain's thriving career came to an unexpected and devastating halt when she was diagnosed with Lyme disease, a condition that would profoundly affect both her health and her artistry. Prior to receiving a diagnosis, Twain endured a range of frightening symptoms that she struggled to understand or manage. On stage, she experienced sudden dizziness, loss of balance, and even blackouts, episodes that left her vulnerable and terrified in front of live audiences. These unexplained health crises not only disrupted performances, but also created a pervasive anxiety that shadowed every aspect of her life. Even more devastating was the impact on her voice. Twain developed dysphonia, a condition that caused a loss of control over her vocal cords, leaving her unable to sing reliably, the very foundation of her career. For an artist whose identity and livelihood were tied so closely to her voice, the condition was nothing short of catastrophic. She faced the terrifying prospect that she might never perform again, a reality that weighed heavily on her emotional and psychological state. The sudden withdrawal from the public eye and the pause in her professional life were deeply challenging, as she confronted both the physical limitations imposed by the disease and the emotional toll of losing her primary form of expression. The following years were marked by grueling treatment, therapy, and vocal rehabilitation. Twain worked tirelessly to regain control over her singing ability, undergoing a process that demanded patience, resilience, and unwavering determination. Every small improvement required immense effort, yet her persistence slowly allowed her to reclaim her voice and rebuild her confidence as a performer. The Lyme disease years not only tested her physically and emotionally, but also transformed her perspective on life and artistry, underscoring the fragility of talent and the extraordinary strength required to overcome obstacles that threatened to end her career entirely. Between 2008 and 2010, Shania Twain endured one of the most painful chapters of her life, marked by betrayal, heartbreak, and the collapse of a marriage that had once seemed unshakable. While already grappling with the physical and emotional toll of Lyme disease and the loss of control over her voice, Twain learned that her husband of 14 years, Robert Mutt Lang, had been having an affair with her close friend and assistant, Marie Ann Thibault. The revelation was devastating, cutting deeply into her sense of trust and security. For Twain, the betrayal was not merely marital. It was profoundly personal, undermining her faith in someone who had been her creative partner, confidant, and emotional anchor for over a decade. The shock of Langa's infidelity compounded the emotional strain she was already enduring from her health struggles. Twain described this period as feeling like a death, a fitting metaphor for the grief of losing both her marriage and the sense of stability it had provided. The couple separated in 2008, and the formal divorce was finalized on June 9, 2010. The ending of this union represented not only the dissolution of a personal relationship, but the severing of a critical chapter in her life and identity, leaving Twain to rebuild both her emotional world and her sense of self. During these years, Twain had to navigate public scrutiny while privately enduring profound sorrow, a task made even more difficult by the vulnerability imposed by her illness and career hiatus. She confronted the dual challenges of healing from a deeply personal betrayal while simultaneously working to regain her health and vocal abilities. The experience reshaped her understanding of resilience, trust, and self-reliance, and it infused her later music with an authenticity and emotional depth that resonated with audiences worldwide. This period of devastating betrayal and personal upheaval remains one of the most defining and painful chapters in Shania Twain's life story. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Shania Twain faced a convergence of crises that brought her to one of the lowest points in both her personal life and professional career. The effects of Lyme disease had already robbed her of control over her singing voice, leaving her struggling with dysphonia, a condition that made even basic vocalization unpredictable. On top of this, the devastating revelation of her husband Mutt Lang's affair compounded her grief, shaking her trust in those closest to her and leaving her emotionally unmoored. For an artist whose voice had been her lifeblood, the combination of physical limitation and personal betrayal created a profound sense of loss and disorientation. During this time, Twain questioned whether she would ever sing or record again. The weight of uncertainty, paired with public expectations and private heartbreak, drove her into a period of temporary withdrawal from the spotlight. She delayed new music releases, stepped back from touring, and focused on recovery and self-preservation. Her journey toward healing and vocal rehabilitation was painstaking, involving therapies and exercises documented in her reality series Why Not? With Shania Twain, offering a rare and candid glimpse into the intense work required just to regain her voice. Yet, this period was not solely about professional recovery. It was an emotional crucible, forcing Twain to confront the deepest questions of identity, resilience, and self-worth. Every therapy session, Every tentative vocal exercise became a step toward reclaiming not just her career, but her sense of self. The experience left scars, both psychological and physical, but it also strengthened her resolve, highlighting her capacity for perseverance and determination. This era of loss and emotional collapse ultimately became a transformative period, laying the groundwork for Twain's eventual return to music with renewed insight, authenticity, and emotional depth. As of 2025, Shania Twain remains one of the most enduring and respected figures in popular music, balancing legacy, creativity, and personal well-being with notable confidence. Now, in her late 50s, she has fully transitioned from global chart dominance to the role of a seasoned icon whose influence continues to shape country and pop music across generations. Following the success of her Queen of Me era and world tour in 2023 to 2024, Twain entered 2025 with a more selective public schedule. Rather than pursuing constant touring, she has focused on curated live appearances, festival headlining slots, and special events that emphasize artistic control and vocal sustainability. Her Las Vegas residency experience reinforced her preference for structured performances that allow consistency without physical overextension. Creatively, Twain remains active. She has spoken openly about enjoying music making without commercial pressure, exploring songwriting that reflects confidence, aging, and self-acceptance. While no major studio album has been formally announced for 2025, she continues collaborating with younger artists and producers, reinforcing her relevance in a rapidly evolving industry. Her presence is frequently cited by emerging performers who credit her with opening doors for genre-blending female artists. On a personal level, Twain appears grounded and content. Her marriage to Frederick Thiebaud remains stable and private, centered largely in Switzerland, where she values distance from constant media scrutiny. Health-wise, she continues to manage the long-term effects of past vocal cord issues and Lyme disease with discipline, vocal training, and lifestyle balance, often speaking about resilience rather than limitation. What do you think about Shania Twain? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.